Hello, my name is Jacob Black. Today we're going to be discussing and celebrating the life of Walter Camp and his invention, American football. Remember throwing football with your buddy till the streetlight came on? Or maybe watching Dad stuff himself silly with pie and turkey on Thanksgiving before sitting down to watch his traditional Thanksgiving Day football game. Or maybe you sat and had a discussion or shared a laugh over a Super Bowl ad that was witty or thoughtful. Not everybody's a fan of football, but most everybody can relate to at least one of those examples I've given you. If this is the case and any of these examples apply to you, your life has been directly touched by Walter Camp. Football here in Texas needs no introduction. It's no different here in Aggieland. But imagine a world without football. It is just a game, but it goes much deeper than that. Football provides many outlets for today's youth and many skills that today's youth can benefit directly from. They can learn team building, commitment, discipline, just to name a few. And these activities can carry with them all the way to and through high school. If a student athlete is devoted enough, they can gain a scholarship to achieve higher learning just from playing the game they love. Football can give you a reason to spark up a conversation with a complete stranger. You could be at a bar with your buddies, or you could be there by yourself just watching the team that you enjoy watching. You notice a man has a jersey of your team on. You just say, hey, how about that play? And before you know it, you now can share a moment of love for your team. Or if he's a fan of a different team, maybe you can share a moment of hating a common rival. Maybe you love football, maybe you've never watched. Maybe you know someone who plays. Maybe you've gone to a game as a social event and never even looking at what's going on down on the field. Again, if any of these apply to you, your life's been touched by Walter Camp. Now let's take a look at the man himself, Walter Camp, father of American football. Who was Walter Camp? Walter Camp was an only child born April 7th, 1859 in New Britain, Connecticut. He married his wife, Alice Sumner, at the time in June of 1888. Walter and Alice went on to have two children, Walter Camp Jr. and Janet Camp. Walter Camp passed away in New York in 1925 at a Rules Committee meeting of a heart attack. It's almost bittersweet that he passed away at a committee meeting discussing rules and changes of a game that he birthed and loved so dearly. Now let's take a look at the formative years at the hands of Walter Camp. Walter Camp attended Yale. He played rugby from 1876 to 1882, where he served as captain, which in those times was the equivalent of today's head coach. He then went on to coach at Yale from 1888 to 1892. He then moved on to coach at Stanford in 1892 and again coached at Stanford in 1894 and 1895. Walter Camp instituted many parts of the game that are overlooked and not thought about today. The line of scrimmage, the snap from center, the scoring system, the defensive safety, just to name a few. These are all parts of the game that are completely vital to the game of football, but no one ever thinks about. Somebody created this. That somebody was Walter Camp. What a game it's become. Since creation, football's had many positive effects on society. Youth up to professional level, there's benefits for the fans and athletes alike. Players who start playing at a young age can gain discipline, commitment, team building skills, all that I've mentioned before, and that's very important to a young man or woman's future. In his article, Long-Term Impact of Sports Participation on Illegal Behavior, Davis and Menard say participation specifically in contact sports is associated with reduced frequency of some illegal behaviors. This can be very beneficial. I know that not every child grows up with perfect behavior, not every child grows up with direction, but football can instill some values that can get them back on the right track. Football also provides employment opportunities from your superstars down to your beer man. You got people out there selling jerseys in the street. You've got people selling parking who don't even know what the game of football is about. People affiliated or not affiliated with the NFL or football can still benefit from this cash cow. In his article, Why You Can't Look Away, Austin Murphy said the league's 32 teams divvied up more than $8 billion in 2017. I want to take a second and let that sink in. $8 billion of revenue in 1 year alone. That's plenty of revenue to go around to help the cities, to help inner city youth, to help charities. Many, many avenues these dollars end up going. Football has its own atmosphere on many different levels. You could be never a fan, but have a child that's talented, a child that plays, or your nephew or your cousin plays football, and you find yourself personally invested. Some might even call you a football fan. In his article, Walter Camp, Football and the Modern Man, John Maximuk said, "Camp believed that in the absence of war, football was necessary for men's physical, psychological, and moral well-being by providing discipline, danger, and exertion." Now, Camp may have just been trying to make the game into his vision. I'm willing to bet that he had no idea that he would be touching the lives of so many over 130 years later. So, when you see kids tossing a ball, or you're heckling your buddies over whose fantasy team's doing the worst, take a second and think about the fact that these moments are a reality because of Walter Camp. Now, I'd be lying if I said everyone is a football fan. Given the facts, however, I think we could all agree that football just might be one of the greatest inventions of all time.